Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Cancel for Maintenance. If this is your first time joining us, we're a show that takes a deep dive into the gritty, non-glamorous life of aircraft maintenance. We share some laughs, impart wisdom, all in hopes of giving you that split seconds relief in your day that can hopefully prevent a mishap. I am your co-host, Six. I am currently flying solo today, as our other two co-hosts, MVP and Shoreline, are currently dealing with the post-holiday rust and with all the snafus that followed suit afterwards. Today, we're tackling a topic that's as popular as a middle seat on a red-eye flight: change. Now, change is like that unexpected turbulence you didn't see coming. It can shake you up, leave you disoriented, and make you question your life choices. In the aviation maintenance field, it's almost like we have a love-hate relationship with change. We love to hate it. So let's unpack what change management is supposed to mean, what it actually means, just a small hint, it's not exactly what you think, and why so many of us would rather walk barefoot on a runway in the middle of summer than deal with it. Let's start with the basics. Change management. It sounds so sophisticated, doesn't it? It's like a fancy wine paired with a gourmet meal. In theory, it's a structured approach to help us transition from the chaos of our current state to the bliss of a desired future state. Think of it as the GPS of our maintenance journey, guiding us towards efficiency and smooth sailing. But let's be real. In practice, it often feels like trying to navigate a map from the 1800s. As the Harvard Business Review has highlighted in many of their articles, change management can feel more like a painful uphill battle than a leisurely stroll to the park. If you ever had to explain a new system to a group of mechanics as they're trying to figure out how to fill your flight schedule at the last minute, you know exactly what I mean. In the real world, change management involves a series of steps to help everyone involved embrace new ways of working. Simple things like clear communication, training, and support. What wild concepts. But just like a well-meaning in-law at Thanksgiving dinner, these elements don't always show up when you need them the most. Or, even worse, they show up when you just don't want them at all. Often it feels like we're handed a checklist without the necessary tools to actually do each of the items. Here's a small glimpse of how change management usually unfolds on the ground. The first one is communication breakdowns. Wow, there's many memos, bulletins, alerts, meetings, and so forth that are held. These messages don't always land. Misunderstandings and assumptions can turn a straightforward update into a game of broken telephone, leaving everybody involved scratching their heads and wondering what the heck is this actually going on. Another issue is training gaps. All too often, training is rushed or overlooked entirely. Mechanics might be expected to learn on the fly, resulting in frustration and errors. It's like expecting someone to fly a plane with no actual experience. How hard can that actually be? Another one is the actual resistance to change. Change isn't just about new processes, it's about shifting mindsets, right? Without addressing the human element, even in the most logical changes can be met with resistance, becoming some kind of tug of war between old habits and new expectations. Another one is resource constraints. Implementing change often requires resources that may not be available. Whether it's time, personnel, or financial investment, and so forth, these constraints can significantly slow down or even derail the whole change process. Navigating these hurdles requires patience, persistence, and a touch of creativity. It's about turning challenges into opportunities for learning and growth, because when we get it right, the rewards of successful change management can be as satisfying as a perfectly executed landing. For all our pilots out there, you know exactly what I mean by this. So let's get to the crux of the matter. Why do aircraft mechanics have such a strong aversion to change? Why do aircraft mechanics hate change? Based on my previous examples, experiences, and observations, here's a short list. The first one is half-baked ideas. Okay, if your brain's already turning about examples of this, then you know this really hits a chord. There's many a times where plans so-called put the horse before the cart. Too often, changes are introduced without proper testing, without proper planning, without proper vetting, so on and so forth. Like, it sounds good on paper, or it sounds fancy from the sales pitch, so you buy into it and you implement this, or whoever's making the decision buys into it and implements it. And they weren't exactly sure of how this was supposed to integrate with everything else. And so you have these half-baked ideas that weren't actually thought out completely. And now we're having issues with them actually interacting with everything else. It's kind of like when someone serves you like this half-cooked meal and it just stares at you as you try to eat it, or lack thereof. Like, nobody wants this. I'm sorry. I do not want your medium rare chicken. I'm sorry. I do not want salmonella. Get this away from me. Another grievance that has been more common of recent, or is actually being trying to be implemented more as of recent, is agile pathways. Now, small tangent on this. Agile is kind of like lean or Six Sigma. It's like this project management and product development approach, typically for software, okay, that emphasizes flexibility, collaboration, and customer satisfaction. It involves breaking projects into smaller, manageable units called sprints, and allows team to adapt to changes and continuously improve their process. So in the software setting, you almost, this kind of goes into the half-baked thing where we're just making a minimum viable product, aka software, that meets some but not all of the needs that you as the customer may want. So, and the idea is to push it out to see how it interacts with you. You give feedback, they take it back to the drawing board, they tool it around some, and they click out another version of it. And they repeat the cycle over and over and over until they get a minimum viable product that actually, a minimum capable product that actually meets majority of your needs and requirements. In non-software applications, such as aircraft maintenance, Agile can be applied by using the iterative planning and feedback loops to enhance workflow and responsiveness. For instance, teams can prioritize tasks based on immediate needs, regularly assess performance, and adjust procedures based on real-time data. And this can lead to faster decision-making, improved safety protocols, and so on and so forth, ultimately creating a more responsive and adaptive operation. However, just because this sounds great, and then even the name itself, Agile, it gives people this false notion like, oh, so Agile, it means things can get done faster. You can work faster, work better with less resources, and so on and so on, be more flexible, whatever the case may be. It sounds great, and the methodologies make you feel good in theory, but again, this is a software-based approach. So not all the time it's going to integrate or be able to be fully used in a hardware setting. Another side tangent, let's be real, like software is pretty much everywhere. Heck, even pencils have software. You will not find a single airplane in today's world that does not run on some form of software. Granted, it may be some Game Boy 8-bit software, but it's still software. And again, like, although these agile methodologies, they sound great on paper, but in a hardware setting like aircraft maintenance, it can feel like just trying to put together furniture without the instructions. And then kind of going back to the resource constraints is the cost concern, right? Implementing change can be costly, especially upfront. For example, is going from paper documents or a paper-based system to a digital-based system. The benefits of digital is all you could name your goal, name your price even. And the benefits are absolutely there from using digital modeling stuff. But that upfront cost to go from paper to digital can be profound. And for those of you who have ever had to do that, you know exactly what kind of headache I'm talking about. Transcribing all that paper stuff into digital stuff, assuming that it was written properly in the first place, can be a monumental headache. So going from, depending on what that change is, that's an extreme example, but going from any type of change from point A to point B, it can have a very serious upfront cost. And then from us as mechanics, it just, some depending on what the change is, it can seem like we're just throwing money at the problem, if that makes any sort of sense. Like, why change what's already broken? Like, while staring at a stack of outdated manuals, for instance, like they stopped making this stuff in the 1950s. Like, why do we still have these? You know what I'm saying? Another example. This next grievance, I feel, is probably like the most common. And maybe it's just from my neck of the woods, but I feel that everyone has felt this sort of problem or this sort of grievance at some point in time. And that's constant evolution, right? In the quality assurance world, we sometimes call this continuous improvement. Again, another practice that sounds great on paper. We continuously improve. We continuously find the bugs. We fix it, and we move, and we get better from it, and it never happens again, and so on and so forth. It sounds fantastic. We move towards this world of perfection, or so close to perfection that our error rate is like next to zero. Got it. The problem is when a change happens, just when you finally get the hang of it, however extensive or however long it took for you to get there, you've finally figured out how to work this change that they just dropped on your lap. You just figured it out, and there's another one waiting in the wings, just ready to take you off course. So, and this can take the form of anything, like a new part, a new process, a new boss, a new job, whatever, or a new department, whatever the case may be, whatever drove that change. Just because it got dropped on your lap, you finally figured it out how to get your life around it. Something else happens, and then boom, Bob's your uncle. Like we have to relearn the whole thing all over again. It's like having a surprise layover in a city that you just didn't want to visit. So these grievances, they paint a picture of the disconnect between the idealism of change management and the gritty reality that is the aircraft maintenance field, for example. There was an article I read. I can't recall the title or the person who wrote it for the life of me, but it mentioned to go away from change management to change enabling. Because when you say the phrase change management, it automatically assumes that you have a handle on it. You have control. And there's a surefire way to just ease it in. Which, again, let's be real, like that doesn't sound realistic or in a practical setting at least. So in that article's case where it's called change enabling is like being more open to change, being more accepting or patient with it. And so that transitions to my next point, like what can we actually do about it? What's the silver lining here? How do we make this change thing a little bit more easy to digest? So just again, based on my experiences and observations, here's some examples that just might help save your sanity. Probably the biggest one I would say is engage in clear communication, right? You got to be able to talk your ideas out. And because let's be real, if you don't explain why you're making the changes, how it's supposed to work, what it's supposed to do, what does it mean for me? Oh my God, there I go again with my militaryisms. If you can't communicate it properly, you may as well be speaking Martian. It's gonna fall flat all the time. It's gonna fail to launch every time. It's gonna fail to land the way you want it to every single time. Another one, which kind of gets thrown to the wayside a lot, is provide adequate training. Now, I say this from a leadership standpoint, but this could also be for anybody that's in a decision-making position. Like the shift lead mechanic or the senior most mechanic time wise, whatever the case may be. We gotta be able to equip the people who are actually implementing this or utilizing the change with the skills they need to adapt. Knowledge is power, and let's face it, no one wants to feel like they're trying to start an engine with a butter knife. We have to be able to not only understand what's going on, but be able to digest it in a way to teach it to others. And this kind of walks hand in hand with gathering feedback. We have to be able to give feedback, reviews for all the modern post late 1900s people. Gather feedback. Now, for mechanics to say this with a little bit of sincerity, because we can get a little crass with the way we relay our feedback. And by that I mean we kind of be we use some colorful language with stuff, and we lean towards the negativity of things, which I 100% get, and some of it is actually warranted. But encourage that open dialogue and actually listen to the people giving it. For majority of us who kind of lean towards the negativity of things, it's okay to be negative. It's fine to lay out your bitches, moans, and complaints. But don't just bitch and not give a solution, right? And by that, I don't mean just like, well, the solution is let's just not do this change altogether. Unless your solution to let's not do this altogether is actually better, like better in every single way possible, and it actually doesn't affect safety, and that's value. But if it's just bitching the bitch, words thrown on the wall, it means nothing. But again, encouraging that open dialogue and actually listen to the people giving it. It sounds crazy, but stick with me. You might just find that their insights could save you a lot of headaches down the road. Another one is to be patient. It sounds rough, and especially in a time constrained environment, I know. But be patient. Change takes time. It's just like doing a workout routine. You're not going to see gains in the first 36 minutes. It's not going to happen. All you're going to do is just get tired. It takes time. You got to keep that routine. You got to be able to work with the system, work with the process, and allow it to work, or at least allow it to give it a try. And also allow yourself for an adjustment period, right? Don't just assume that you're going to pick something up and then just be good at it. It's not going to happen. Allow yourself for that adjustment period, and we'll all be better off, because no one wants to be the mechanic who causes a meltdown over some new software update. No one wants to be that new guy in the gym that tries to deadlift 300 pounds and has never deadlifted in his life. No one wants to be that one who has to implement a new way of doing things and just expect to get it right the first try. It's not going to happen. Celebrate the small wins. And this is something that we're actually working on ourselves for all sorts of things, but celebrating the small wins. Recognize and reward progress, no matter how big or minor it is. If you got your first lead, you did great. Celebrate it however you feel appropriate. You did something that normally used to take you 2 hours. Now you did it in an hour and 15 minutes. Celebrate it. Acknowledging achievements boosts your morale, enables your confidence, and reinforces the benefits of that change. Who does not appreciate a little pat on the back? For us as mechs, majority of us as mechs who've been in for some time, the reward system may not feel that great, right? Hey, you did a great job. Cool. Move on with life, right? But I think that's indicative of the times where we just never been celebrating the wins in the first place, if I'm being real. Or sometimes that reward system has been used only for what we sometimes call the good old boy club, right? Only the star children get it. I understand. But that just further emphasizes the point that the people who actually do the work need to celebrate either A, for themselves, amongst themselves, or establish a system that actually recognizes them for what they do. that kind of ties hand in hand with the create a supportive environment. Foster a culture where asking questions, seeking help, and having those reward systems are encouraged. When we all feel supported, we're more likely to embrace things, including new processes, rather than resist them. Who's ever been to a shop where everyone just flat out hated you and that's been the course of things from day one on? No one's gonna do anything more than what's expected of them. And if they already treat you like shit, then what's the incentive for you to do better? Right? Now, I know there's some of us out there who are masochists who just love that level of hate to actually show them up. Right? But that only goes so far. Right? You got to have somebody who's your cheerleader in the squad. Right? Another one is lead by example. And I don't just mean by guys in leadership positions. Everybody's a leader. The difference is just position and title. We all need to model adaptability and openness. We need to be able to be open to feedback and responses. We need to be able to adapt to changes and requirements. When we embrace change with a positive attitude, it sets the tone for everyone else. I was once told this from a senior officer from my time in the military. And I asked, hey, what's the key to being a great leader? And he said, you got to be the beacon of sunshine. Whatever process, whatever operation, whatever exercise is coming the way, you as the leader need to be the beacon of sunshine, meaning that you have to be the reason why people believe it's going to work, right? Because if you're just the automatic rain cloud in the room, it sets the tone for everybody else, especially if you're in a position of decision-making authority. If you already believe it's not going to work and you tell people to do it, what's the likelihood of them already have the impression that it's going to suck, right? So being that beacon of sunshine, as corny as it sounds, it's actually pretty true. Like if I walk in and say, hey guys, today is going to be a great Monday, whether you believe it or not, there's probably a chance at some point the message is going to stick and you're going to actually like coming in on a Monday. But if I am the instant rain cloud, like it's Monday day 4 or a Monday day 363, you're going to treat it like a Monday day 363. Just saying. Another thing is to stay flexible. Kind of going back to that agile pathways concept that I kind of bitched about a second ago. You got to be able to be open to tweaking and change as needed, right? I say that as change, right? But being able to be flexible, because as we all know, change is inevitable. Change is going to happen. Requirements are gonna be altered or modified last minute, and not every plan is going to account for literally everything, right? Even as us making decisions on the line, not everything is going to be smooth sailing. You have to have a little bit of wiggle room to embrace that. Hey, sometimes you might get off early. Sometimes you might pull an 18-hour shift. I'm sorry. But it's going to hit you hard every single time if you're expecting that on time end of shift, right? So being able to be open and flexible, being able to adapt can make the transition or change smoother for everybody. By taking these steps, we can transform from a daunting proposition of change into an opportunity for growth and improvement. While we may never completely eliminate the challenges of change, we can certainly make the journey a bit more manageable and maybe even enjoyable. Every change is a chance to learn, evolve, and soar to new heights. Remember that. And on that note, hey, let's take a moment to highlight a small business, Jean, the aviation dietitian. Because if there's one thing that can help you cope with change, it's a well-balanced diet. Who knew? Jill is an aviation-focused dietitian. She has been dishing out advice that can help improve your health and potentially save your career, especially for pilots. She's been a guest multiple times on our show and has given advice, so I highly recommend that you check those episodes out. And if you're willing to make nutrition and your diet plans a goal for this year and beyond, check her out at aviationdietitian.com. Who knew nutrition could be a lifesaver in the aviation world? So there you have it. Change is inevitable, but with the right strategies and the right mindset, it doesn't have to feel like you're flying through a thunderstorm. As aircraft mechanics, we face unique challenges, but by understanding the change management and implementing practical steps, we can navigate these shifts without feeling like we're trying to herding cats. Thanks for tuning in to our show. If you have any thoughts or experiences you'd like to share, we could all use a good laugh and the absurdity of all. Feel free to reach out to us. You can check us out on our social medias. You can check out our website and send us an email that way. Whichever way is easiest for you to share your insights, share your stories, share your experiences. Please, by all means, we love to hear from you guys. And we like this opportunity to hear from you so we can better ourselves, help that change management, so to speak, right? The absolute best way to have conversations like this and have feedback like this is through our Discord channel via our Patreon. So with that in mind, please feel free to reach out in the best way you see fit, be it social media, our website via email, or join us on Discord via Patreon. Until that time, hey, keep your tools handy and spirits high. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. We'd like to take a moment to give a heartfelt shout out to our fantastic patrons. Your unwavering support is the magic behind the show, helping us produce thrilling episodes, keep our gear in top shape, and create awesome merch just for you. With special shout outs goes to SaKonna, Eric Shaw, Daniel Liang, Mike Sherwood, Caleb Stockdale, Carm M, Dan Schubert, and Ryan Freshour. Thank you all so much for your support and patronage. If you enjoy our show, why not join our Patreon family? You'll unlock a whole slew of perks, including exclusive access to our private Discord community, special discounts, early bird access to our merch, and a front row seat to sneak peeks of our comics and other exciting projects. And if you're feeling adventurous, don't forget to strut your stuff as an aviation aficionado by visiting our store at cancelformaintenance.com. For those who appreciate a touch of class or rugged charm, check out our affiliate Rockwell Time at rockwelltime.com. Use the code CX, the number 4, MX, snag a sweet 10% off your new favorite watch. It's time to elevate your game. Got a burning topic idea or want to be a guest on our show? Drop us a line on the contact us section of our website, cancelformaintenance.com. We're all ears and we're eager to bring your ideas to life. Stay connected with us on social media. Find us on Facebook at Cancel for Maintenance or follow us on Instagram and Threads at Canx, CANX, for Maintenance Podcast. Hey, we love hearing from you. Be sure to check out our comics. We might just be the only webcomic focused on aircraft mechanics available on the Tapas app. Like, share, subscribe, and leave us your thoughts. We want to know what you all think. Thank you all for being the incredible community that you are. Your support means the absolute world to us, and we can't wait to catch you on the next episode. Until then, keep them flying.